Yeah, awesome to see everybody here. Daryl, thank you for that introduction. Appreciate it. And yeah, of course, love talking with you guys. And I'll do my best to kind of look and answer questions, but I'm a guy, I'm really good at what single-minded stuff. I don't read and speak very well at the same time. So if I kind of am at a point where I can answer, so you see some questions, I'll answer them as I go through something, but I'm happy to be spending some time after the presentation. We'll open it up to ask some charts or questions, whatever, and here for you to take some of those. But I've got just a lot of material to talk about. I'm super excited. This has been a long time in the making. I have so much material and so much fodder to be working with because this market is crazy, but it's been one of the best markets for me, and that's kind of what we're getting at. That's why I'm doing this. And as I said, how I adapted after the COVID crash and made $100,000 in a single day. And I always have to put an asterisk. That's just with stocks. I know because everyone here is with options, and I gotta make sure because maybe it's easy with John Carter to make $100,000 in a single day using options. He probably sleeps on that much. But me, stocks, it's kind of a big deal. And I want to make sure that you guys all know that if you just want to trade stocks, if you don't want to do options, I'm here for you. We also got you taken care of if you do trade options. So I think we're here. And again, I always think it's funny. If you have no sound, just reboot it, but you're probably not hearing me say that. So I always get a kick out of that when we get started. Okay, so what we're going to be discovering tonight is the breakthrough move that kind of led me to my first $100,000 day, that kind of thing. We were talking about that for sure. And then the new tricks for capturing explosive moves and getting out before devastating drops. That is the overall backdrop for what is in store with this market. I think we've been seeing this. We've been seeing these kind of crazy moves, but we've also been seeing how they just either don't last or they just implode and fall right over. And we have to make sure how to do this. And then I'm going to be going into the adjustments that I've had to make given the new vibe of this market. I think we all know there is a new vibe. This is not what it was before. And that since the crash, everything went down. Now we're actually having to figure out, well, how do we trade stocks from below going up instead of stuff that is in uptrends? So this is really kind of interesting. We've had to look at stuff. And then, of course, the massive sector rotation that has started the next bull run. And I don't think a lot of people are seeing this coming. Maybe there's some talk and some ideas, but how do you actually see it coming? As Daryl said, I'm an engineer. I'm get down to the nitty gritty, and I like to see these chart patterns and stuff. And I'm seeing them set up on higher time frame charts that we then dive into lower ones and get going on that kind of stuff. All right, and then just got to put this out front. I know a lot of people have been asking me about new tools and everything. So we do have a new tool. It is the Moxie watch list and is built for this kind of market. I talked to Eric. I said, hey, man, what can we do about this? It's a lot of legwork to be going through all these things and the scanners and stuff. I said, I already have a watch list that I like to build. I also have other watch lists that Thinkorswim already creates, and they're of certain industries or sectors. I said, what do we do about making something visual? And he said, yeah, can do. Let me work on this, think about it, and let me get back to you. And this is what he came up with. I had to kind of help tweak it a little bit to make it, fit for what I do. And I love it. This thing is fantastic. And so I'll get into this a little bit later towards the end, but for all of you who've been asking, just want to put this up front. Yes, we do have a new thing, and this is it. All right. So why listen to me? What am I doing here? Yeah, I'm with Simpler. Okay. But, I like to kind of show it up front. I walk the walk, and this is what I do. And this is all during this market. Look at the date here. This was March 26th. It was actually about the bottom of the market. And this tells you that I really nailed the bottom of this market when we had that big move off the bottom because my entire account went up 22%. Again, this is just stocks, okay? So this is a big deal. 22% for an entire account is a lot for a whole thing to go up. And dollar amount, this was like close to my biggest dollar amount at the time, $53,000 in a single day. I mean, I'll take that all day long. So that was pretty nice, all of that. And then, you look at this. How about just recently? This was June 5th. And this was almost like a plane trade, funny enough, because I was on a plane. I'll get into that too. But, for John, the market goes down on a plane trade. I guess for me, since I'm a pilot, my plane trade makes it go up. And so that was the biggest dollar amount, but it was also 16% for my entire account. And this is all done with just stocks. All right. Then what I want to show you is consistent trading in all account sizes. I get people all the time, and of course it makes sense. Like how much money do you need to have in order to start trading or in order to trade at all? And first off, first thing I say is, well, you don't need any money because you probably shouldn't be trading using real money right off, because you're inevitably going to push the wrong button, or you don't really know what's going on yet and you're just getting your feet wet. It's the best choice just not use real money to get started. But once you do, you don't need much. You just need enough to be able to buy a few shares, one share of a few stocks out there and get it started. And I just want to show you here, I have accounts from reaching $1 million. It's now over $1 million, to a little bit less and a little bit less, a little bit less, and then $5,000. And what I really want to show you is, look at this: 4.8%, 4.6, 5, 5.5, and then, call it 4. They are all the same percentage mostly. And that's because I really trade all of my accounts basically the same. And so what that means is the kind of trading that I do and the kind of trading that I teach and the kind of trading that I send out through the mastery with the alerts, it's all the same. It doesn't matter if you have a $5,000 account or a $5 million account, you trade it the same. And I think that's really powerful, because as your account grows, you'll get used to trading bigger sizes, but the percentages are the same. And you'll even see on the day that I had my biggest dollar gain, my percentage 16, 15, 15%. It's all the same. So consistency, that's what I do for consistency. Now, what is going on with this market, right? We know that there are new influences. We know that the market has a different and new behavior. Why is that? Well, one of the reasons is the Fed. The other reason is because we really do have a crap load of new people in here, which is awesome. This is so cool, having new people come into our industry and trade with us. We've been seeing great numbers here at Simpler and welcoming everybody that comes here. I'm sure a lot of you guys are new, and it's exciting to see you here, because we're here to help you. We're here to help you make money and help you get out there and do what you want to do via the markets. Look at this. Charles Schwab, new accounts, 600,000. TD Ameritrade, 600,000. E-Trade, 363,000. These are huge. This represents a 58% increase, 149% increase, and 169% increase. A lot of new people here, and it is definitely giving some new vibes. Did anybody see Kodak today and yesterday? Dare I say that might be kind of that Robin Hood influence going on, but holy cow, that thing went nuts. It was also President Trump came out and talked about them during a press conference, and they were already starting to pop, and whew, yeah, that was insane. I know Kodak was insane. I was talking about Kodak also in my trading room about how, I think it was January something 2018, when they got into blockchain, and they spiked 250% in a day or two. So I don't even know if Kodak makes film anymore, but apparently nobody cares, because their stock is just going bonkers. The other thing, so Robinhood, right? We all kind of talk about that a little bit, but here's the post-COVID lockdown. Look what happened. What are you going to do when people are home lockdown and then given money? Like, well, hey, let's see about this market. And honestly, what most people have probably been told about the stock market is, when it goes down big, you buy it, because you buy the dip and it's likely to recover. It's always going to come back, right? Well, so far, they are not wrong. And this is why everybody's jumping on board and pushing this market up higher. The other thing that we have to contend with, think about this: the barrier of entry is basically not there anymore. Anybody can trade, which again is awesome. We love having you guys here. We want to make sure that you have the right tools in order to actually come here and trade and not lose the money. We want to help you. But think about it: zero commission trading. You guys remember when that was kind of a big deal, that everybody suddenly went to zero commission? I half want to think, like, where all my refunds? Do I get all the thousands of dollars I spent on trading commission? Do I get that back? Well, probably not. Anyway, Tim Welsh, founder and CEO of Wealth Management, was talking about this. He said the access to trading, that's what's changed. There are no barriers to entry anymore. It's on your phone. You can buy whatever you want. You can even buy fractional shares are available. So if you can't pony up a $1,400 to buy one share of Google, you can still own the FANG stocks. You can also own the FANG stocks through FANG ETFs. There's some out there. There are all sorts of ETFs. In fact, I love the ETFs. We just bought FAS because the financials are going up, and I like the leverage. It's funny enough, I get grilled sometimes because they're like, "Oh, you like leverage, you don't like options." Like, yeah, I do. I like linear leverage. So that's what I do, is I go buy a triple leverage of a product like that using ETFs. Now, here's where we kind of get into the crux of the situation. And this is kind of a big, darn it, pushing things on the touchpad. This is where we kind of get into the crux of the situation for my family and really what's happened to this thing. So this is a legit screenshot of my family's account over at Schwab. And despite the dollar amount, you can kind of see what happened. February 24th or so, 20th, was the beginning of the COVID crash. And my family had their money with a typical investing firm, believing that their strategy and institutional status gave them some sort of pedigree and protection, right? They're the big guys, they know what they're doing, this is their business, they have inside information, whatever, we can trust them. And we all learned what a false sense of security that was as their accounts fell in lockstep with the SPY. We were getting so frustrated watching this. And then I actually went into the accounts and looked at some of the positions they had. And I said, what is going on? They have no right owning some of these things. Like, for example, they had Occidental, OXY. And that thing has been in a downtrend for 2 years. What the heck are they doing buying something like that is in a downtrend for 2 years? So I got really upset about what was going on. I said, you know what? I'm going to take matters into my own hands. So I did. And this is also what I did. So this is, now I didn't have an accurate screenshot currently because once all this happened, we were moving bunches of money between all of my accounts. So I didn't have like an unadulterated screenshot that I could really take except for this one, which I think was my mom's little account. But I trade them all the same. It doesn't matter how much money is in them. What do you guys notice here? Here's the February 24th point where on the other account, this thing started to fall off a cliff. Does it even look like COVID happened? Nothing. Not even crash. There was a little bit of time where, maybe my stops got hit and I kind of had to readjust. But other than that, look what happened. Started to figure out what was going on at the market. I was shorting the market here. That's why I started going up. Now, I think I got the direction wrong for a little hot second. That was about a week. But look, other than this dip, what did it do? It came right back to where it was and just kept on trucking. That's what I can do here. You take a little misstep, get right back on track. And so this is what I'm talking about. How would you like it if your account looked like this during a 35% decline in the market? And that's what I was talking about. And I spoke to my dad and my family. I said, guys, look at my accounts. Look what I'm doing here and look at yours. And so I said, I decided to take matters in my own hands, like many of you are either doing or have decided to do. That is clearly why you're here. You want to have help to figure out how to trade the market and make money here. So now I'm managing all of my family's money and have surpassed the total account value from before the crash, despite the S&P still being below its previous high. So here was the high, kind of we're still roughly about here. They're still not up there. And most institutions are basically going to do the same performance as the SPY, even though, say, the Qs are way up here. So I was talking about Dad about this. I said, well, would we have been up here or somewhere up here because of the Qs? He said, no. The fund that he was with pretty much did whatever the SPY did. So we would still be underwater at this point, despite just how great the market has been. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And I said, well, I'm back up to normal. Now here you go. Here are some hard numbers. The S&P fell 35%, and so did my family's account. They wrote it all the way down because, again, these institutional places that we have our money, they didn't do anything. They literally just wrote it out. Like, do they have stops? No, they don't have stops. Do they move their money into bonds? Apparently not. This was the stuff that was really frustrating me. And here is the thing where math is not in your favor. Do you guys know the thing? Like, if you have $100, if you lose $50, you can't just make 50% to get back to 100. You have to make 100%. So if you lose 50%, you now need to make 100% just to get back to break even. So math is not in your favor when you start losing money. So this 35% loss in the market means that it then has to go up 54% just to break even. And having anything go up 54% is, seems astronomical for accounts to go up. Well, since my family, handed over the money and helped me, said, okay, let's go do this. These 2 days alone, I earned back 38%. You can see the 22 and the 16. I've earned back 38% of that just on 2 days. And think of how many days we've had in the last couple months. So I am well above where they were before the market crashed. And I got to tell you, they're pretty happy that they decided to give their money to me to do this. And so I want to be able to help you in the same way. Here's the example of my $100,000 day. Now, this was, we were kind of hearing some news. There was a reason for these things to happen. I think you guys all remember this back around early June. There was some talk about the vaccine. Fauci was talking about it. End of the year was likely, and all this stuff. And so it got certain industries and sectors kind of jazzed up. Think about it. What industries would benefit most from a return to normalcy? Retail, cruise lines, hotels, stuff like that, high touch areas and high density areas. Well, I know this is probably a random stock, but this thing has been on my list for a very long time. But ASNA, it's a retailer, they deal with retail. And so you got to think, well, what places would do well? Retail. And one thing I observed with this market is since the COVID lows, stocks would just kind of go flat. A lot of them exploded, sure, but the ones that hadn't really gotten into gear had just gotten flat. And then if something sparked them, then they took off. At least they didn't go down. Nothing would stop, nothing would keep going down. They just kind of stopped going down and went flat. So I started hearing about this talk and I started seeing some activity and I went scanning. And again, I got my scanners out there, the Moxie trampoline scan, the Moxie price triggers, and I came across ASNA. There's price below, what is this, the hourly 50. The Moxie indicator was still above 0. It's a high pressure, high buoyancy setup. And I looked into this and then I looked down on the lower time frame charts and I was like, I think there's something here, and volume started to come in. So I started getting into this. I even mentioned this in the options room, and lo and behold, you suckers in the options room, I couldn't believe it. You guys started, I think, moving the stock before I could even have a chance to tell my room. And I started looking at this. I said, guys, I think something big is about to come here. And so I hopped over into my Moxie room and I said, let's go in. And I just said, full size, hop in. I think this sucker is going to take off. And we all got in about here. That was just at the close one day. And the very next day, this thing started to explode. All right, that is how quickly this thing went. And the amazing thing about this provided an 85% gain in one day. Screw options, right? If I could find stuff like this for just stocks that go up in 85% in one day, that is amazing. And that's the kind of stuff we want. And the even better thing, this is the airplane trade I was talking about, is that I was on an airline. I was on Alaska Airlines, actually flying home. I actually had to really finagle it because of COVID. They kept cutting flights, and so my actual original flight got canceled, and I had to go fly actually to Houston instead of Austin, and then get a drive home. So this was like the one time I actually purchased internet on an airplane, and I think it was worth the $15 to make the $100,000 that I did on that day. And I was there chatting to everybody in my room, the Moxie room, about this exact trade, being like, yo guys, I'm on an airplane. Hey, this is awesome. We're making some good money, and yeah, let's sell. So we did. We pocketed that. We let it go a little bit further, and I think ultimately we even closed it out for a 30% gain after this one-day spike. So that was kind of fun and exciting on an airplane. And go figure, here's another one of an airplane. But before we go too far, who am I? As I said, I was going to kind of front load a lot of this stuff with some fun, exciting things, but I'll just take a couple minutes, tell you a little bit about me, because I know there's probably a lot of new people here who don't know me. But my dad and I are both pilots. He introduced me to the stock market when I was a little kid. Honestly, I was actually sitting on his lap when he would come home and we'd look at charts and stuff. So apparently I made some money for him back then too. And I didn't know anything about it, but I knew I was exposed to it and I knew it was important. So that was a good thing that he did for me when I was growing up. And then he took me to my first stock trading seminar when I was 12, right? You ever expect a 12-year-old to be in one of these things? Probably not. Well, during one of the breaks, I asked one of the people who was leading the show, off to the side, I said, is this really possible? Like, what is this thing? Can people really make money from whatever we see on the screen? And he said, absolutely. No one was born knowing how to trade. Nobody, this isn't anything that's natural. Nobody knows how to do this just coming out of the womb. And so he said, of course, if nobody's born knowing how to trade, then we must learn it. And then therefore it's teachable. And I took that, and that's what really carried me and inspired me going forward. And I said, this is possible. I just need to figure it out. And so a little bit about my background, because that kind of helps you understand how I think and how I see things, is I graduated from Arizona State University 2010 with a manufacturing engineering degree. That's how my brain works, engineering all the way. And I apply it to the stock market. I know there are a ton of other engineers and pilots out there that like the stock market for that reason. So then I sidestepped and I went into New York Life as a financial advisor because, well, I wanted to learn more about money and help people with their money. So I did that for a few years. And then I kind of circled back and it came back to stock trading. And while I was kind of, I had some time doing my own thing and I started doing trading full time. And I actually had my old mentors see what I was doing. And they said, hey, you should do something about this. You should turn it into a business. And so I had my indicator, I created it, I turned it into a business. And that's when I started and created Moxie Trader. And that was back in 2016. And from there, I then ran into John Carter and now I'm here at Simpler Trading. So that's kind of my little life story as far as trading. Now, the other thing is I'm a car nut. I like airplanes, I like cars, basically anything with an engine and high horsepower, I'm gonna like. So trading is like that. It's fun, exciting, but if you don't know how to handle them, you and your account will end up in a ditch. Now, fortunately, this is my car, Chloe. She's never been in a ditch, but we've been having some good time. And boy, I have some new tires I need to roast as well. So we kind of move on. As I said, pilot, this has instilled a lot of discipline in me because if you are reckless or don't follow your checklist, you can really kill your account. And this is something that's important to us. Pilots use checklists. And something that really kind of bothered me before I got into Simpler and before I was doing all this is I would follow mentors and their charts would look like this. It was so confusing. I had no idea what to do. I can't, rip on them too hard because some of these people were making some solid money and their charts literally looked like this, but it didn't work for me. And I had to figure out what didn't work for me in order to figure out what did work for me. And so I looked at more things and I kind of looked at this and I figured, okay, well, if one indicator is good, then a bunch more of us would be great, right? Well, the problem with that is you start getting analysis paralysis and not all the indicators are going to line up and say go. Like you're not going to have 10 indicators that, or not, 10 and 9 of them say go. What are you going to do? It's going to be a jumbled mess. So I like to keep things clean. I like to keep it, real smooth and streamlined, just like the airplane. And that's how I do it. And again, my interest shaped my trading style. Now, this is a Glass Air 3. We got this thing built in 1990, finished in 1992, and my dad and I work on this. So this is the annual. This is actually just maybe 3 weeks ago. We're putting on new tires. We're doing a retract test. We had to change some spark plugs. We had the interior torn apart. This is something you have to do every year in order to recertify the airplane. And my dad and I do the work, and we have a mechanic come in and actually check it off. But yeah, we do the work. And so there are a lot of similarities with trading as being a pilot, a checklist, basically a process. You have to do A, B, C before you can go do D. You can't go mixing them up. You can't go put the landing gear up before you take off, right? That's not going to work. And then also you need to have rules. How does this work? There are rules to flying. You got to respect them, otherwise you get in trouble. There are rules to trading. Now, they might be your rules, but they're still rules. You kind of need to figure out, well, what kind of trading do you want to do? And I've spent the years figuring out what kind of rules work for me and what kind of rules work for Moxie. And then this is really very important, discipline. Because if you don't have discipline, then you're not going to follow your checklist, you're not going to follow your rules, and you might as well just be throwing money at the market and just closing your eyes and seeing what happens. And the same thing goes with flying. If you don't have discipline to stick to the checklist and stick to the rules, you're probably going to have a bad day flying an airplane. So all of these things are very vital at keeping the plane and your account from crashing and burning. Now, spending time your way. This is really what has also attracted me to the stock market. I am currently up here in the Seattle, Washington area, closer to Tacoma, actually. This is right out front of our house. In fact, our house is somewhere right behind that one. And, I figured, since we're all locked down, there's not much going on. I might as well come up here, hang out with my family, get some good weather, get out on the water. And they've given me bacon duty. I guess I'm real killer at making some bacon. So I get bacon duty when we make breakfasts on Sunday or Saturday mornings like that. And guys, whoever's in the Moxie room, I got to tell you, sometimes if the market's really slow and I'm not answering your chats for a little bit, I might actually be out wakeboarding in front of the house for a couple hours. So, just make sure you have your stops on. And if you do that, you can put things on autopilot. Again, pilot reference, but you can put things on autopilot. You just set your stops. And then if things change, if there's a crazy news event, you get taken out, no problem. That's the whole point of stops. And this is the kind of trading I do because, hey, weather's good. I want to go out there and I want to go hit the wake. All right, now, does Moxie still work in this market? I'm just going to get right to it. Yes, it does. But what we were trying to figure out is, and these are the experiences that I had when the market started to actually, come back up off of the March lows. The market would tank just when things look the greatest. It's kind of like the high five trade. You think, hey, this is the best thing ever. And as soon as you give a high five and everyone's like, yeah, congrats, the thing probably implodes. Well, this is what we were seeing with the market. Just as things were looking good and safe, that's when the market would roll over and probably take you out in a big way. And then what I was noticing, okay, we're in a great, solid, trend up. This thing's awesome. But what happens when they need to flag? Because price can't just go vertical all day long. It's got to go sideways. And when it goes sideways, it does it in a flag, and it does it in a very kind of choppy, messy way. So it's better to just get out and avoid that. And that's what I needed to figure out. And then I kept missing out on hot moves or just getting in too late. I mean, come on, there are insane moves going out there all around us. And how many have we all been able to take? Maybe a couple here and there. And that's what I needed to say. I went back and I studied some of the early movers to figure out, what is this stuff doing? This is how I work. I go back and I study this stuff. I want to figure out what works. It's the engineer in me going back and saying, well, this happened. How do I catch it next time? And what are those key components? And that was the stuff that was really inspiring me for this round. And we're going to be talking a lot about that in the upcoming class. So some of the big takeaways that I got from this new market and why things are different and why we're talking about this and what I've had to do to adapt. The time frames have changed, right? People were asking me, hey, do you do any long-term trading? I was like, I wish I could, but not in this market. I normally would do, say, the daily and hourly. Now I'm having to look down at like the 15 and the 5 just to make sure I don't miss a move or make sure I get out in time. And then speaking to that, trades would come and go faster. They'd show up, they'd pop, they'd move quickly, and then before you know it, they'd stall out and come right back down to where they were. Look at that ASNA trade, that thing I made $100,000. That went right back down the very next day. So you got to know where to take some off at the top and understand when you need to hold or fold and get out of this stuff. And big moves would collapse. It's kind of redundant there, but basically these big moves would come, and if you're like, oh my gosh, this is super exciting, let's get in, you're going to be the last one holding the bag, and then they'd roll over on you, and you're going to have a bad day. And then price began to behave differently. This really just did. It really kind of became a little neurotic in a bit. It had some different vibes. It wanted to kind of chitter chatter a little bit, and then it would spike and it would pull back. Like, who saw the move in cannabis recently? Like yesterday, what did cannabis do? Shot up. Today, right back down. I'm thinking APHA was another one. Right up, right back down. So it's different. There are some weird things going on here, and this is the stuff that I want to be able to show you so that we can all take advantage of it. And again, adapt or suffer. I mean, this is what we do as humans. We excel at adapting to our environments. And this is what I like to do as an engineer. I kind of figured out, okay, what happened and what do I need to adapt? And I'm able to see past price. This is really what I keep talking about as my little, I don't know, claim to fame, or what I'm really good at, is I get to see what's going on inside of price. And with this new paradigm of the Fed influence and new traders, I want to show you how I was able to quickly adapt, because that's really what happened. Is like, oh man, like this stuff is, there's some new stuff going on here. What do I need to do? But the core principles of how I trade have not changed. They're still there. Moxie is still there. My rules are still there, but I've had to apply them differently. I've had to be more aware of some different things. I've had to add a couple features and some stuff. And then we also have that Moxie watch list, which is really helping for when the market is moving now. That's the difference. Yeah, Gucci, Moxie Matrix, I know. I love it, you guys. I love having a bunch of you in here. It's like having a family. All right, so the Moxie checklist, I always harp on this, the pilot, all that kind of stuff. Do you guys remember the last FOMC? Like, we just had the FOMC minutes today, which, you always have to be a little cautious, but this one, this last one was a big deal. And the funny thing is, there are little details, and it's these details that really make my kind of trading and who I am important, because they make the difference. And here's what I saw. So this was 6:10. This is both the same days. This is the IWM. This is the SPY. The IWM gave us a signal 1 day early. You see how price ran right into that moving average? This is part of my checklist. And then you can see here, my checklist said, you better GTFO, you better get out. You don't want to be long on something like this. Look at the Moxie indicator. You better be out. And so what we did, because my experience also knew that, hey, sometimes the real move comes after the FOMC. So what we did is we actually went long the UVXY, which is VIX, and we took that as a hedge. Yeah, I didn't know how big this might have been, but it did this. Like, it's this subtle little difference right there that 1 day made that difference, because look what happened the next day. All right. And so we got in here, and this ultimately moved 50% in 1 day. So that was a good UVXY trade, good UVXY hedge, and it's down here on the 15-minute time frame. So that's the kind of stuff. I'm going to be showing this example and diving real deep into this and why I saw it, and how I saw it, and how the Moxie checklist and how the trading checklist works. Yeah, you guys are going to be in the class. I'm going to tell you, have your checklist handy, because you're going to have this you're going to be looking at the checklist. I'm going to be walking through my trade examples, and you're going to just be like, oh, I see that. Yep, 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 yep. Okay, got it. So it's going to be really cool having that right there. So speaking of checklists, did you guys know that the checklist actually had to be invented, and it was invented by the Boeing Corporation back in the late 1930s when they were developing the B-17, or what would become the B-17. And what happened was some really good test pilots, excellent at their craft, killed themselves on takeoff because they forgot a simple little something on takeoff. And what they had realized, what Boeing realized, was that airplanes were getting too complex for humans to do all the things they needed to do to have a safe flight before something, have a safe flight. They just couldn't remember everything. And so they realized it's not that the people are dumb, it's just that there are a lot of things to remember. And if you get distracted, there's going to be a problem. So they invented a checklist. And I took that concept and I applied it to trading, because what I realized was trading is, okay, kind of simple, fine, price goes up, price goes down. But I realized I kept kind of making simple mistakes because I'd get confused, or I'd get distracted, or some little something, or I wouldn't quite see something on some other time frame. And so I did this. This was literally my first checklist. Now, it's more like a flow chart, but it does the same thing. It makes sure that I have a go, no-go situation, and I keep looking at this. Is this a trampoline setup? And so I just keep working through this thing until I get an answer that says enter or wait. And I tell you, this thing works. This is really, really important. And I think people really resonate with me and my style because I got a checklist. And so I can give you these tools for knowing how to trade. I'm not kidding around. I do this stuff and I just give it to you. All right, so since I built this trading checklist, I had, from my years of experience I'd gathered, of course, the pilot in me felt right at home. I began to catch lucrative trades more consistently. And I tell you, it was a breath of fresh air when I started figuring this stuff out. Here's one that we all took, SRNE, right? We had to actually get in twice because things are kind of chopping around, but look right there, there's our entry. We took some off at 25%, we took the rest off at 48%, and now it's kind of like, hovering down around there. And my checklist said, you better get out here. And then sure, it popped a little bit, but it came right back down a couple days later. So we basically got all that we could. Now you think about this, real money. You put on maybe $10,000, it's $3,600. That's real money that you're going to be getting from this stuff. So just to kind of put that in perspective, they're good, solid trades, and these things are happening all the time in this market. Now, here's some craziness. This is what I'm talking about with this current market. Does anybody remember this Facebook move, right? Kind of came out of nowhere. You're like, what the heck happened? It went down, it came right back up. Now, maybe your stops got triggered. Maybe you could take a short. Maybe you could have taken a better long. Is it possible to see these moves before they happen? Oftentimes, yes. And in this case with Facebook, this was a great example that I could show that based on the way I trade and based on the indicator and all the stuff I use, you could have exactly seen this. Number one, Moxie indicator below zero, price running right into the downtrending 15-minute 50. You should not be long. Price underneath the 50, Moxie indicator red and below zero. You should not be long. And so maybe you wouldn't have taken a short because you couldn't see that this was coming, but you wouldn't be long. And you save yourself from getting run over by a trade like that. And then you think, well, okay, so big dip, what do we do? When's this thing going to turn around? Number one, trampoline move. You guys know that I love the trampoline move. Why is this? Price below the 50, Moxie indicator above zero. What do we do about that, right? So we know that's back there. Well, how do we nail the entry? The precision, the stuff that I talk about, that engineering precision that I like to talk about, right there. Price over the 15-minute 50, okay? There's your short, there's your long. These are the things that we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to be diving real deep into this in the class and the stuff that I'm going to be talking about. This is crucial to this market because you don't want to deal with this. Either avoid it and then know how to get in and profit from it. And that's the kind of stuff that's happening in this market. And if you aren't careful, you're just going to get wiped out with it. The market's going up. It's going up strongly, but there are some real big potholes that can have with this. Now, subtle divergences, these are kind of little details that I talk about, and they're details that I'm going to be showing and teaching. And what I've figured out, again, trying to figure out and use what are the tools, what are the secrets that I need to know about this market? And I figured out that using volatility to call the market's bluff. So this is the S&P, this is the UVXY. What you can see is price went up here, and on the same day, the UVXY went sideways. And I combine this with internals to see beyond price. What is price not telling me? And then you can see on this day, we got a double top. If I can draw a straight line, double top. And what do we got? Then we got volatility actually increased. And then, guys, my checklist. Fortunately, I love this. This was amazing. I had a live class, my Tuesday live class. Bunch of the Moxie members were in there, like 100 of you were in there. And I said, let's go long right here. And why? Because my checklist said go long, and then you could just see the market did that. And then we sold out the next day. It was like 5%, nothing. It was just a hedge, but we got all of that trade. Like, look at that. There was nothing left of that trade. We got all of it, and that was the perfect entry. So for those of you who are there, congrats. This is why I love the live trading, because I can talk to you and say, I think I'm seeing something. All right, so my secrets for precise stock trades. Yet again, Moxie trampoline move set up like a charm. Here's space. This is Virgin Galactic. You guys have been hearing a lot about it, I'm sure. I want to be trading this thing over and over and over. I have a feeling this thing is really going to be taking off this time. No pun intended. Maybe we'll talk about a moon reference. But I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities. This was just one of the first, other than its big one that it had that was some crazy move. This is now going to be more substantial. I guided the Moxie subscribers into this one with detail, and it worked out perfectly. Now, I did have to get in twice, and that's fine with trading. I had to get in twice, but this thing's set up like a beauty. You got your Moxie positive divergence. Not only that, it was a trampoline move, and then we got in here, and I said, don't be surprised if it flags, and then what did it do? Bounced exactly off the hourly 50, bounced off the 50 again, and then my checklist said, well, you better take some off right there. And look at that, nailed a 52% gain, and what did it do the next day? It pulled back. Perfect. And then you see we got a little bit more, 63%, and then I forget what it did, but it's probably back down here. So it's not going anywhere now. We nailed all of that trade. And so you think about, you put $10,000 on that trade, you made $5,700. Now, you guys have seen my accounts. I used to trade $5,000 trades. I used to put $5,000 on a trade. I've now graduated because I'm managing my family's money, and I had to quickly man up to some bigger sizes. And I just kept telling myself, okay, it's not the dollar amount, it's not the dollar amount, it's percentages. So I am putting $100,000 trades on moves like this. And so instead of $5,700, I'm helping my family rake in $57,000. So I'll just be honest with you guys, because my point is, it's not about the dollars, it's about the percentages. And this is something I had to kind of quickly grow up about and go from $20,000 trades to now $100,000 trades. And I just look at the percentages. I have to kind of tell myself that too. So, all right. So now for you option people, if you trade options, knowing where price will or won't go can offer many great profitable strategies, because I know you guys like to sell options and you like to say, well, I don't think price is going to go there, so I'm going to sell some calls or sell some puts. So there are some really good strategies there, because the things that I teach and the trades I kind of teach, I will show you where price won't go, and you all can then put your option strategies around that. But imagine catching some of these 20 to 200% gains that I get with just stocks combined with options leverage. So think about that. So I know you guys love your options. Come check it out. I have very capable traders who subscribe to me because they want me to do the legwork of bringing these trades here. A lot of you guys have day jobs. I understand that. And you want me to do the work and bring them to you, and then you go and you pounce on them. Gucci, I know that's one of you. So market behavior has changed. All right, I'll keep emphasizing this. The current market has a certain behavior due to atypical influences that we don't normally have to contend with. Think about the Fed, think about COVID, think about news, think about these new traders. And some stocks are highly affected by this news. But within this, there are still repeatable configurations that I can teach you how to identify. And GoGo was one of them. Look at this. There's my entry. And this little combination between the 50 and the 200, some of you who have taken the previous class probably know exactly what I'm talking about right here. There's a reason I went right here with the Moxie indicator going up, took some off, and then we took the rest of it off right there. And that was literally one day before this thing imploded like that, right there. Okay. So again, $10,000 on that, you take home $4,500 on that. Pretty nice, 40 and 50% gain, but boom, boom. All right, and then knowing when to get the heck out is crucial in this market to preserving your hard-earned cash. The Moxie rules and checklists said to exit on this. Now, I did try this one. I said, okay, market's going to just keep popping. Here's your earnings. I get in after earnings. We take that. And I think we got like 3% out of this. But you know what? I got out right there. And even though this move didn't go anywhere, I didn't lose anything because my checklist said, you better get out. Look at that Moxie indicator right there. It said, you better get out. And sure I did. So do you have crisp rules that keeps your account safe? And if you don't, you should. And if you don't, come join the class and come, learn what I'm going to be teaching out there. Now, I got to be honest, they don't all work out. Okay, this is just how trading is. My checklist helps me know when to get out, but it's not always perfect. But it's how I keep losses manageable, which is important to allowing your account to grow. Here's Blue Apron. Took a trade here. I was expecting price to bounce off the hourly 50, and it just didn't. Okay, so we get out. And you guys all know, if you're in the Moxie Mastery, that we've taken a couple trades on this thing, and we made good money. So we more than made up for that little loss right there. And losses are just the normal cost of running a business. And this is really kind of what we're doing. We are running a business. So think of it like inventory, utilities, and employees. You got to think about all that. Losses must be controlled just like expenses. So here's another example that we all took, Stitch Fix. It was kind of choppy. I'm trying to find an entry in here, figure out what's going on. I thought something was going to happen here. Nope, didn't work. Okay, 3.5% loss, didn't work. That's fine. But I could tell that something was going on. So I kept an eye on it. And when this thing finally set up again, we got right back in. And this is what's important. You take a swing with one entry, and if it doesn't work, fine. But if it sets up again, you got to go for it. You can't let a loss, you can't let a mistake or whatever, bad timing, hold you back. Because if you're like, oh, that didn't work. Okay, it's probably not going to work again, or it's probably going to tease me again. Honestly, sometimes it'll take me 3 times to get into a trade. I don't like 3 times, but sometimes it happens. 2 is more preferable because, normally you'll nail it the second time. So we did this, we got 18% pretty darn quickly. And that's what I'm talking about. You take a little loss and you try again, and you just keep moving on and you keep tackling these things. So the tools for this market is notorious for big ups and big downs. Okay, we got this, QE, we got the Fed, we got stuff that's really pumping this market. And then once they take their money, they take it all back out and start over again. So do you have the right tools to take advantage of this and protect your account at the same time? If you guys are looking for tools, how's that for indication? Does that not catch basically 90% of that trend, right? There's the Moxie price trigger for an in. There's a Moxie price trigger for the out, okay? And you see it coming. Here's your double top. There's your negative divergence. It just doesn't get any clearer than that. So that's why I love it. I'm having a great time in this market. It took me a little bit to kind of figure out what to do about it, but now that I've got the hang of it, I want to be showing you guys how to do this. So kind of the thing I was talking about with those flags, how do we handle a flag? How do we stay out of the chop, especially in this market where names shoot up and then they flag for long periods of time? They're still going to go up eventually, but they flag in the meantime, and you got to think about the time value of your money. Why does it make sense to have your money tied up for probably 25 days right there while this just does this? And again, with you option traders, if you're trading options, you're dead. You're dead in here. You're making no money. You're losing all your money. Your option probably evaporated because you're not holding a leap. You're holding probably a 30-day option. You're toast. So you guys need to have this kind of precision. And this is what I teach, and this is what Moxie does. Here's your double bottom. There's your positive divergence. There's where you get past the moving average. Then you get look at that. Then you get Moxie price trigger on a retest of the moving average. So if you didn't get in here, here's your second entry right there, and then boom, okay? So I know you guys loving this with your options, but right there, retest of the 50 with a signal, go for it. Now, nuances. All right, this is what I'm talking about. This market might be going up and going up like crazy, but they're not all that easy. So this one, it's Chipotle. This is hourly chart. Like, why did this one bounce off that moving average and keep going up? You gave me a look, Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix did a little bit differently, double bottom, and then finally went up. But why did this one not? And in fact, on top of that, you got that Moxie price trigger that said, nope, you better not go into this. And then you got price underneath the moving average and then just imploded. They're not all the same, okay? We need to make sure that we know how to trade and take advantage of this market. And that's what's important, knowing when to take your money and have a stop. And yes, I saw somebody asking if I use a stop, if I use a trailing stop. I like to kind of handle my own stops, so I do manual stops, but I do use stops. Every trade I put out has a stop. Here's Max R, another kind of in the space program. Moxie rules said go in. We made 17% in 8 days. We took some off. I had the last of it, I had like half the position going in case it wanted to keep riding up along the 50. but it didn't. And look at that thing, it just imploded, but we had to stop. Nice little ratchet. That's how you make sure your account stays up and not imploding like my families did when they were with that investment firm. How about this? Daily. This is a Etsy on the daily chart here, and what it do? Just kind of kept going up. Here's Wingstop. Now this one actually did hit the 50 and then went all the way up. Why did this one fall through the 50? And could you have seen that coming? And yes, you can absolutely see this coming. This is TW is one of the examples I'll be showing in the class where I can show you can see this coming. And if you want to trade short, you can trade short. I'll teach you how to trade short. It's definitely possible in this market, and sometimes it works out pretty quickly. All right, and so powerful patterns. Now we're kind of getting to the stuff where do we go from here? You know, I show people a lot of these patterns. I show people where it's at, and this is the kind of stuff. I think there's still more coming. And because of the way I see patterns, and I'm very pattern oriented, and people love this. You know, I help traders see the setups before they fire off. Now, does anybody know what pattern I'm talking about right here? I haven't labeled it yet, but what is this? Gucci, I'm looking for you. What is this right here, right? There you go, elf shoe. Yeah, all right, so this is First Solar Weekly, and look at the move it had, but what started it? What started this thing? An elf shoe. And if you guys don't know what that is, that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. It is my like #1 pattern. I love this thing. It's very lucrative. And now I'm probably going to be getting elf shoes in the mail someday. So that'll be an interesting when that happens. But this is on a weekly time frame, and look at the move. And it happened because of this consistent pattern that I show, and it works from the weekly all the way down like the 2-minute. So if you guys are day traders, this stuff works. Here you go. So as I said, my subscribers know and love the now famous elf shoe pattern. This is XLF weekly, and I actually just took a trade on FAS, which is the triple leverage of the XLF, because I saw this coming. So I see this on a weekly pattern. So I drill down, I look at the daily, I look at the hourly, and I start finding entries. And I actually took a trade on this one today. It's because I could see the backdrop on this thing. There's a backdrop, there's an elf shoe here, and I know what an elf shoe does in this market, and it's good. And we need to then know how to exactly enter this thing, and it's possible. So due to the unprecedented COVID crash, there are still potentially huge moves setting up. We just had the FOMC meeting today, right? What did Jerome Powell say? He's like, I still got your back. Everything's cool. Interest rates are low. We're still going to be buying bonds. We're still going to be putting money into the market. Don't worry, keep going. And so I'm looking at stuff like this. This is XLF weekly. It is just now setting up. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. There are sectors that still have room to go, and we need to be able to watch that because look at this. Sleep Number. Sleep Number moved 88% from after its earnings to here. So between earnings, it moved 88%. Yeah, what? Sleep Number? What is Sleep Number doing, making 88% during a pandemic? It makes no sense. But what it do? Here's the elf shoe, right? There's your elf toe, 88%. And so what I'm saying is I believe these kinds of moves are not over, and there are still stocks and sectors gearing up for similar moves. This stuff isn't over. It's not over at all. And so I just wrote a piece. You guys go check out profitpilot.com. I'm going to put this out tomorrow. Dale, you're on it. I'm seeing your comment. You're on it. But yeah, go check out profitpilot.com tomorrow. I have a whole write-up that I just wrote. I think you guys get a real kick out of it because I like to kind of have humor when I write my pieces. But go check this out. It'll get posted tomorrow. And yeah, profitpilot.com, you'll see where I'm going with this one. And in this market, as I said, not all of them are winners. So some appear to be ready. Now, if I recall, ZXIX still didn't go, but it looks good, right? This thing looks good. So it's got some possibilities. And other ones like IP, you know, they pop and then they flop. And you got to make sure you know how to get in and out of these things because you could have totally traded this. You could have totally made money. But if you were left holding the bag, you just went right back down to zero. And if you trade stock, okay, fine, you went back to zero. If you trade options, you lost money. And how do you find them? Now we kind of get into the fun stuff, okay? Because of the Moxie price trigger scanner, I was able to find ALT. Now, I know you guys are in the options room or in the Moxie room. Yeah, we got this sucker and it was fun. I put it out as a trade to the channel and it immediately began to move 12%. Now, I don't know if that's because of us or just because of whatever, but this thing was pretty fun. We put it on the room and by close, which was probably 30 minutes later, it had already moved 12%. And then, which is this little bar right here, if you can see that. And then the very next day, this thing gapped up, gave us a 26% gain. Okay, we took some off. And then the next day, it gapped up even further, gave us 45%. We got 25 and 45% gains in 2 days. Now, again, important. Look what it did. It came all the way back down to almost the entry. This is the kind of stuff that's important. You need to know when do you hang on to these things like space, which basically did this for several days, or things like this where you got to get out. You got to get out on that current move. However, if we then look next, during the live trading that I had on July 7th, I covered this again because yes, here was our move. There was the 25 and 45% gains. So you let it fade. That was the first trade. And then you move on. And then you look to see if this thing will reload. And during that live trading, I said, guys, look at this. It's done a double bottom with a trampoline move. And I think this thing is good to go right there. That was July 7th. I said, I think you guys should be looking at this. And I know several of you took it. And some of you actually, I think the next day, randomly in the last hour of the day, it went up 55% in 1 hour. And I got reports. I got a bunch of emails and comments. You guys are like, dude, I just got 50% real quick. And I totally sold out. Like, great, fantastic. That's the kind of stuff I want to talk about. Now, I will admit, I had one account with a small position remaining from this original trade. I just had a little bit. I said, whatever, I'll just go see if this thing works. Lo and behold, this thing pops up. So I took that off for 138% and 180%. And I think this thing all took 2 weeks. This market is insane, but it's great. It's been a while since I've had like a 200% gain, but that's why I say that we're catching trades that are 10 to 200% because they are legit and they're out there. So now we can kind of circle back and say, okay, how are we doing this and what are we doing? What kind of new tools do we have? And so the new Moxie watch list makes it easier to spot the opportunities quickly. And then you can pick the ones that really stand out because I've got a very long watch list. I scroll through it every day. This is actually kind of cutting down on my workload and allowing me to hone in and really dig in quickly on stuff that I should pay attention to. So those of you who know the Moxie indicator, you'll get what this is. Those of you who don't have it, just understand that these are the triggers that I look for the Moxie indicator. We look at the weekly and we look at the daily and the hourly, and then we have a daily trigger. So for example, on the daily, here you go, the Moxie indicator is crossing above. That's usually either a go signal or it's something that you now need to look at that stock and say, why is this firing something? So that's telling you that we need to have, we also have crossing below. So either you guys know when to get out or if you want to take a short. So we've included that. And then we have a 2-day trigger. So this is a look back. So this is, because honestly, I told Eric, I said, sometimes I'm a little bit lazy. I don't like to scan necessarily every day. And so what I kind of get a little bit lazy, and this is going to help me, avoid some of that laziness, because if there was a Moxie price trigger that occurred within the last 2 days, this will fire. And if this one fired in the last 5 days, this one will fire. And so that actually helps me say, oh, okay, maybe I should go take a look at that and keep an eye on it. And then it also tells you, okay, which stock should I really be looking at? Here is AMAT. You notice that the weekly is above 0, the daily is above 0, and the hourly is above 0. Maybe I should go look at that one compared to ALL, which is below 0, below 0, below 0. So this is a quick and easy way. And then what you can do, you can actually sort each one, so you can sort them each way. Apple and ABV, they're looking pretty good. And look, I can't really tell which one this is right now. I think it's Apple. The hourly is crossing above. Maybe you want to go take a look at that one and see what's going on. So this is going to be pretty fun showing you guys and diving in. I think basically, yeah, never miss signals, 2 and 5 days, streamlined scanning of names you already watch. And here's really where I think an important part of it will. Evaluate entire sectors quickly. So you guys might have your own kind of watch list. You might say, hey, here are my metals. Here are my precious metals. Here's my healthcare. Here's my solar. Here's my oil. Here's tech, whatever. However you guys have it set up. You put this Moxie watch list on it, and now you can see, is my oil sector watch list all red? And am I getting a ton of these things crossing above or below? Like, what's going on? Or if you're looking at, say, solars, and all of a sudden a whole bunch of solar goes green, or a whole bunch of solar is getting a bunch of triggers, well, then you might want to go look into that and go find something. So super excited about this. I know you guys have been waiting a long time for something new, and I think that we found it, and I think it is definitely fun and worth it. So again, for those who aren't familiar with the Moxie indicator, I've been talking about it a lot. I want to show you this is exactly what it looks like, and this is exactly what my charts look like. clean and simple. Then you have stair steps. You know, that's what these jagged lines are for the indicator. It's like a picture's worth 1,000 words. These stair steps alone tell me a lot of information about really what's going on inside price and what I need to know. It's better than a bunch of squiggly lines that are usually like moving averages and a whole bunch of other indicators. So stair steps are very, very important. And then you got the positive and negative areas. You know, is this positive energy or negative energy? What do we need to do? And there are certain rules around that. Like you can't trade when the Moxie indicator is below 0 and price is over the 50. You don't want to trade that. That's an inverse trampoline move right there. And then you have divergences. Look at this. Price level, Moxie indicator coming up. There's your trigger. Boom. How's that? And then how about this? Price level, indicator down. There's your price trigger. Boom. Down. Up, down, up, down, up. Like, there, hello. It's pretty great. Look at that. Love it. So I think for those of you who don't have the indicator, we'll hook you up. It's going to be a good time. You're going to like it. This is the only way that I can trade. And again, precision. You know, that's where I'm talking about precision. It's great. So fun stuff out there. And then, you know, take all this stuff. You know, somebody was asking me like, well, how long have I been trading, or where did I come from? I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and I finally invented my own indicator that really worked for me. And I said, oh, now I've got it. And I was just talking to somebody in the training room today. Yeah, Stock Jaguar. Yeah, I know you got, well, we're working on it for some other platforms. So you've been a long time customer of ours, so that's been great. But, you know, I had to figure out how to actually trade my own indicator. So take the years and shortcut the years that I've spent studying these profitable stock patterns. I take everything that I've learned and I provide it to you on a platter in a classroom with basically a textbook of how to trade, and take the growing pains out of designing and refining the Moxie indicator like I did, and just have it, just use it the way I use it. And take these scanners to use these price triggers and trampoline moves. They work, they're lucrative, I love them, and they're out there. And so how can you do it? That's really the key thing. You're like, great, you know, you're awesome because you got this own indicator and you've been working with it for years, but how can I do this? You got to first trust yourself. This is a little bit of the trader psychology. You got to trust yourself and you got to trust your checklist. And this is what I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you the exact process for trading in this volatile market, okay? I'm going to hammer on it. This market right now, it's different than the first class I did. We're in a different market, and I want to show you how we're actually adapting for this. And if you can trust yourself and the checklist, then you know how to trade when you don't know what's coming in the future. And keep things streamlined. What is the simplest way to see what has changed in this market? And that's simple. I keep things real simple, and that's what I want to show you guys. And then I stick to my reliable setups. You know, same method, just applied in a different way based on the current market with different time frames and little nuances that I had to kind of look around and tweak and stuff. All right. And then you got to be diligent. You got to be diligent about finding these opportunities. You save time. Like, I know it's sometimes a lot of work, but that's my job. That's why I provide it to you. You can save time by using these scanners to find the right trades at the right time. And this Moxie watch list is now going to be the next new tool to help us figure this thing out and help cut down on the workload that we have. And then helping others. You know, I was getting lots of questions about this new behavior. You know, it's really quite fascinating having my Moxie mastery and having a bunch of other traders in the room talking to me. And we're seeing this change since the March lows, and people are like, what is going on? This isn't the same. Things are weird. What's happening? You know, I'm sending trades, but people who want to trade themselves are also like, what's going on? And I was like, you're right. Let me go figure this out, and let me go put something together, and now let me go teach it. So I did exactly that. I put together a class of all the things I was forced to change, and now I can share them with you. And so that's what we have. We're here. We're now at August 8th. It's going to be Saturday. We've got the indicator installation session that morning. Then we got the class. You know, it's going to be a few hours. We're going to be spending some time. Get your coffee. I would say get your fuzzy bunny slippers, but it's summer, so I don't know. Get your you know, swimsuit on and tank top. Come join me. We're going to be up to 4 days of live trading, depending on what you guys get. We're going to go diving deep into the $100,000 day that I had and my favorite trampoline move. I mean, that's how I got that trade, was the trampoline move, and what we're doing to leverage the Moxie stocks in this Fed-fueled market. And so here you go. This is what we're going to be looking at. We got the basic package. You're going to get the strategy class. You're going to get the indicator. And then you get those scans that I talk about. Yep, let's get that button out of there. Those scans, and then you get at the watch list. We want to make sure everybody has these tools. That's really the most important. So if you guys just want to kind of get in here and say, well, I just want the tools and go figure it out, great. You know, it comes with some instruction packets, but you know what? Here's really the important thing. And this is where I was talking about shortcutting the years that I've spent. Take the tools and just, you know, have me show them to you directly. Have me show you and say, okay, now we've had classroom, now let's go work on them. And that's where you come out here, you get the 2 days of live trading for the pro version. And then you know what, for a little bit extra, think about it, $200 more, and you get 2 more days of live trading. And you know what that breaks down to? We do, so it's $100 per day, and then we do 3 hours, if not more. We probably do at least 3 hours of trading. You know, that comes down to $100 over 3 hours. It's like $30 an hour. And I'm teaching you how to go make money. I'm teaching you how to be successful in the markets. There's a good chance we'll probably actually take trades on those couple of days that, you know, again, I can't legally say, but there's a good chance that we're going to be paying for this class. This is the whole point. So, you know, go spring for something like this. You get 4 days, and I think it's going to be worth it, because that's my job, is to walk us into good trades, have them be successful, and have this whole thing be worth it to you. You know, that's, if we're not making money here, then I don't know what I'm doing here. So you get the basic package. You're going to get this. You're going to get the strategy class, indicator. You get all that kind of stuff. As I said, August 8th, we're going to do 1 hour early for the installation session. That way, for those who don't have it, you can get it and have it all ready to go for during the class, because it's going to be fun to kind of reference it and all that kind of stuff. And then the actual class is going to be 12 to 4 p.m. Central. And a lot of the stuff we're going to be going over, going to be talking about the particular time frames and stuff that, yeah, you know, I've been having to show you guys stuff like, I'm going to have to kind of ignore this one for now and look at this one instead. And then, as I said, I've been turning bigger profits in this market. This is where I've been making the most money I've ever been making in this market. And it's crazy, but it's tried and true, using the same method that I have. And again, the strict rules and checklists that I have. And I think people really resonate with this. You know, people say they really like this. There's just the process, and they see it differently, and it kind of opens their eyes. And so it's been fun doing this. And then I'll be talking about these trades. I have multiple situations where I was able to kind of use some other indicators to show that price is lying to us. We don't price, you know, they say price is king, but a lot of times we need to call the SPY's bluff on this. And then we, you know, Moxie indicator, read profit potential, and then of course we're going to go into the $100,000 day. So again, for those of you who already have the indicator, we're going to take care of you. It's going to be basically like an a la carte situation. So that pricing is for people who don't have it. We just have to make that standard. But for those who already have it, just call up customer support, you know, give our sales team a call, email them, call them. They're there to help you out. I'm sure a lot of you are actually probably very familiar with them, probably actually know them by name at this point, because it's just one big happy family. And so go over there, tell them what your deal is. Hey, I already got the indicator, I already have this, and they'll go make you, you know, whatever the appropriate deal is for that. So by all means, we got you taken care of. Don't worry about having to buy it, you know, redundantly. And then of course, we're going to be diving into the scans. You know, I want to teach you how to go find this yourself. You know, I do the mastery where I send out trades, but I have so many traders that want to learn how to do this on their own. And that's what we're going to do. And I love the Moxie trampoline move. And we're going to be talking about this scan. And that's how I found it. That's how I found the ASNA trade that moved 85% in one day. And then of course we got the improved Moxie watch list. This thing's going to be awesome. It's kind of like a Ferrari. I'm going to be real excited about this. It's going to be like a new toy you can kind of sit into and drive and check it out. And you know, I know some of you guys like kind of flashy lights, and my screens are kind of dull because I like to keep it calm. You guys are going to be feeling like you're in an arcade maybe. It's going to be cool. So we're going to do this. We got the color coded. You know, you can see things at a glance and instantly, and these things are going to stand out. So we got some of these colors changed, and it's really just beautiful. So thank you, Eric, for doing this. He is our wizard for this, and it's just amazing with the stuff he comes out. Now, again, we'll kind of talk about the pro package. And as I said, you know, what is the point of taking the class and doing all this stuff if you don't actually see it live in action? So let me kind of hold your hand, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but like, you know, let me show you how to actually apply this. I know that when I was in school, I was very hands-on. We could be learning something in a book or read something or see a video. I want to go out there and actually work on it. I want to learn how to go change that carburetor or make those adjustments based on what I saw on YouTube. So come out here, do the 2 days, join me. We're probably going to make some pretty good trades, kind of depends on what the market does. And I tell you, Operators are standing by. Don't these look sexy on me? This is exactly what, funny enough, this is exactly what I look like right this very moment wearing these headphones. Just imagine me with that nice smile right now, all right? So then the Elite package, all right? I kind of broke it down. If you guys look at it, it's $200 more than the previous one, and you get 2 extra days. You know what that breaks down to? $30 an hour. $30 an hour. And I'm teaching you how to make money. I'm teaching you how to trade the markets. I'm teaching you how to catch your own fish in the market and be successful. And this is the whole point. So if $30 an hour isn't worth it for an extra couple of days to go out there and, you know, sit right now with me and be right next to me and say, oh, I see what's going on. I'll answer your questions. We got this nice Gucci. Maybe, oh, that's what I need. AirPods. Sorry, I just saw that and it just made me crack up. Yeah, you're right. I need AirPods. Oh, that's fantastic. So these couple extra days, we staggered them because I'm an end of day trader. I want to make sure that we actually have some time between trading days so that we can either, if it's a dull market, I want to make sure we can put on some trades. I want to make sure we can nurture some of the ones that we're in. $30 an hour to go out here and learn how to walk the walk and do these trades and actually make some live trades out there. I tell you, I don't know what kind of better value you guys would be looking for. So, you know, Elite package, you get 4 of those trading days with it. So I'm just going to kind of leave this here. And then anybody who's interested, we do take PayPal credit. This is pretty cool. When I was running my own company, moxietrader.com, I used this a lot because my pricing was different. And actually, I had a lot of people who appreciated this because it meant that they didn't have to go necessarily suck out a chunk of change in their trading account. They could pay this for over 6 months, you know, 0 interest. And then, you know, maybe if we can actually help make some money during the market, you can then go use those funds to go pay it off in a lump sum. So that's just kind of some fun stuff that we can talk about. But we do have options if you're interested in kind of you know, putting it out that direction. So let me kind of take some questions here because I know that there were a bunch and I wasn't really able to get to too much of it. So let me know either what you guys have. I'll kind of be scrolling up a little bit. Massey, yeah, if you guys change your minds, we're going to be helping you. Customer support is amazing. They're great people. They make sure we take care of all of you guys because you know what? You're a big family. Everyone kind of comes back. We nurture. You guys are here all the time, and we want to make sure everybody's happy. So they'll do their best to take care of things. And D, I personally don't do too many options. I actually just did options on, I think it was a JMIA trade, and I put some on, and it went up a few percent the next day, and I actually captured 44% in one day on some options on a stock trade that I actually gave out to my traders. So I personally am not a big stock options trader. I don't do the fancy stuff. If I do options, I literally just do long call or long puts. But if you guys do options, you just set them up around what I'm telling you. Here's my entry level. Here's my stop. Here's what I think it's going to do. And then you guys can set up your trade around that. So I know I got a ton of option traders in there because I get people coming back being like, hey, that trade you sent me, or is it that trade you put out there? Yeah, I just made 100%. I'm like, what? I just made 15%. So yeah, we got a lot of people who like to be trading options. Steve-O, how does it work for penny stocks? It really just kind of depends on the stock. That's a little bit of a generic question because it depends on the stock. There are stocks that are, you know, $100 or $50 or $200 that I don't trade just because they're super choppy. So you just have to find a stock that seems to work well with the rules and the method that I trade. There are a lot of stocks that I don't trade just because they're messy or choppy, or they just don't seem to behave the way that I need them to behave. So you take the course, you take what I do, and you apply it to whatever kind of category you want to trade. 10 cup. So let's see, I do the 50 and the 200 SMA, and then the 8 and 21 EMA. And yes, this is definitely recorded. Gus, thank you, appreciate it. I had a great time. I'm actually on time. That was like just about an hour, wasn't it? So that was really fantastic. I've been waiting a long time to talk to you guys about this and put this thing together. All right, and then anybody who's asking about current Moxie memberships and all that, you know, that's going to be a customer support question. Again, we're going to be taking care of you, make sure everybody's happy about this. And the watch list, no, the watch list is going to be an add-on. So if you need that, we have that. Let's see. Okay, let's see. What are the dates for the strategy class and pro days? I guess they're not up here, are they? Let me go back one because I know they are up here somewhere. Then you guys can get those dates. There we go. All right, so the live class is going to be August 8th. It's going to be a Saturday. It's not this Saturday, it's next Saturday. And then live trading. So if you guys want to mark this down, I believe the pro package is the 10th and 12th, and the elite is going to be the extra 17th and 20th. So if you guys want to write those down someplace, that way you make sure you have them. So Jim, yeah, thanks for asking that. I want to make sure that everybody knows those things. And of course, all of those will be recorded. So even if something conflicts and you're like, well, I already know I have to go to a COVID wedding on the 20th. I got to do like a Zoom video. I just got an invite for a virtual, what was this? It was a virtual wedding something. Yeah, wedding invite, virtual ceremony. Literally just got this 20 minutes before I came on air with you all. So that is the world that we are living in right now. But yeah, if you guys can't make a particular date, everything's recorded, so it'll be there for you. Gucci, what, did you play Kodak today? Man, we gotta get you some sharper knives. You're killing it. Yeah, ECXXII was basically a penny stock. I'll have to look and see if that did that. I mean, look, ASNA was $1 and change, so I have no fear going down to some of the lower things if they work. I just need to look at stuff that behaves the way that I need it to behave. Woodstock, average holding period for my trades. Well, we actually just closed, I want to say last week, we closed silver and GDX. I was trading them via AGQ, which was leveraged, and Nugget, which was leveraged, and they almost were a month. So in this market, that was about the longest trade that I've been holding. There are some good trades, like let's see, Space, which was Virgin Galactic, that was at least 2 weeks, I think. I don't really have these off the top of my head. But some trades like ALT, they pop twice, or they pop the next 2 days and we're out. So, a day or two. So it kind of really runs the gamut, honestly. It just depends on what the market is, and we don't know what kind of setup or what kind of move this thing's going to have. So we just take a swing at it and see what happens. Yeah, thanks, guys. Caleb, appreciate it for putting that up there in the chat box. And yeah, okay, big question. I always get this a lot. Can the Moxie indicator and the Moxie method work for futures? Yes, they can. I've had numerous people send me screenshots of good, successful trades they had. In fact, Benji, I don't know if you're out there, but Benji and I were talking months ago, and I said, here's a setup, and this is a configuration that I was looking at on Stitch Fix Daily. This is a long time ago. And then he showed me a trade, and I said, oh, look, Stitch Fix Daily did the exact same pattern that your ES 2-minute trade did. It was the same pattern. And so, yeah, perfectly, it works perfectly. The only thing I'll say is when it comes to futures, there are more hours in the day. So the charts or the patterns are a little bit messier, noisier, but they're definitely there. And I have a bunch of people who do like to trade this, and they trade different sectors than I do. So just because I don't trade something doesn't mean that you can't. And that, and I know people even trade currency with this. So yeah, absolutely. Jeffrey, yep, the alerts are sent to your phone. And yep, everything will be recorded. Yep, futures. The moving averages I use, the 50 and the 200 SMA, the 8 and 21 EMA. Yeah, Brian, so yeah, it'll be recorded. So if you have something to attend on the 8th, the class will still be available. So, do that. And it's interactive. The class is interactive. I got a bunch of you there. I have a lot of people who sign up for the class, and we chat. So as I go through the class and I'm talking about this stuff, people will ask me like, hey, I didn't quite get that. Can you go over that again? Or because I've been doing this a long time, sometimes I maybe miss the easy, simple something, and because I eat, sleep, dream this stuff. And so they say, oh, well, that didn't really make sense. And so we're talking. This is interactive. I don't just plow through my slides and everything. We're there to answer questions and help you learn this and figure out what's going on and why it's going on. So that's my point, is if it's recorded, you really get a lot of questions from people who are there, and they'll probably ask the question that you wanted to ask. So we'll make sure we take care of that. Yes, so JP, we have a special room for the class, and we have a special room for the live trading days. So if you are in, like, if you've signed up for the pro or the elite for the live trading days, but you're not there, I will send it out through that class and you will get an alert. So absolutely don't worry about it. If you're not available to be there right that minute, you will still get the alert for that class purchase, for that room purchase that you got. So yeah, absolutely. Quantum, yes. I will, let me kind of run through some of these questions and I will show you a live setup that I took. So maybe that'll, I'm sure that'll kind of get some people excited. But yeah, I have no qualms about going into a couple charts and showing you some things. I won't answer a bunch of questions because we're already, coming up on an hour and a half, but I'll show you something. Let's see, do I send daily text alerts after these dates? I still, well, if you're part of the Moxie Mastery service, you will keep getting alerts. But as far as these ones, if we have some trades that are still going, I'll see if we leave the classroom open. So the answer to that is basically, if you guys take the pro or the elite live trading days and we have some trades on, I will continue to hold your hand if they still work. If they're still on and we're still going, I will hold your hand and I'll let you know how I'm doing and what we're doing on them. So yes, you were definitely not going to be just left out to dry. So good question. Thank you. All right, so I think that's pretty much about everything we have. So Jasmine, the reason why we go 1 hour later is to actually kind of talk, just to decompress. So the markets are open, we start 2 hours before the market closes, but we go for 3 hours. That's because I am an end of day trader. I really need to study the market in the last 2 hours of the day, and then I actually move money in about the last hour to last 30 minutes of the day. And so, I'm a little busy. I'm showing you guys what I'm doing. I'm showing you the trades. I'm showing you why I'm taking the trades. You're watching me actually trade and put money on. And sometimes I can't totally answer questions. So we do an extra hour after the market closes just to make sure that I answer questions. We kind of go back and say, okay, that might have been a little bit busy. Why did I do what I did? I got to get these things out, got to make these trades. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And that's, it's just good decompression to keep talking about it. The scanners, yeah, the scanners are going to be the same. I haven't done anything to the scanners. They still make me plenty of money. So nothing has changed there. All right, so let's dive into the charts and let's see if I get the right one up. Where are these things? Come on. Okay, let's do this. Oh, might help if I actually X out of the presentation. Right. Okay, so UVXY, I was kind of looking at this, seeing if we actually needed to hedge anything. So I kind of alluded to it earlier, XLF. So I'll give you guys a taste of what to expect and what we're looking at, all right? So this is XLF. I traded FAS because it's the triple leverage. And this is the trade that I took, and I actually still think it's appropriate. But look at this. Daily trampoline move, okay? Bread and butter, love this thing. This thing showed up on my list weeks ago. So it gave me a good heads up. And then what do we have? Double bottom, positive divergence. Oh, look, there's our Moxie price trigger. I didn't really want to quite go in there yet. I've kind of been looking at this thing. I ended up taking a little bit of a trade here to here on FAS. And then what do we got here? Trampoline move. And you guys see, I'll just kind of, I'll show you this example and we'll kind of call it quits. But this is why I call it a trampoline move, because what it do? You're jumping on a trampoline, you go under, and then the springs catch you and shoot you up like that. That is what I'm talking about, because the Moxie indicator is still above zero, and look what it did. It bounced off the daily 50. So this is the kind of stuff I'm looking at. Let me show you FAS just so you can see the difference. FAS is triple leveraged. So just keep in mind, I like to look at the FAS for the actual. And you can see the lines of where I was trading. So I took a little, I think it was like a 5% trade, right there. And look at that. No lie. I mean, here's where I got in. You could see where I got out. And I got out. I don't know where I got out, which portion, but I got out before it went down. Okay. That's the kind of precision that I work with. That's what I need to know. And then I would have loved to have entered this last night, but because the FOMC was today, I held off because I just didn't want to make any big moves before that crazy market news. But last night, if it wasn't for FOMC, I would have entered right there as price bounced off the 15-minute 50 and the Moxie indicator was up. So a little bit late, but we're here, and I think that this thing's going to be fine. So once again, trampoline move, okay? Trampoline, trampoline, trampoline move. Love this thing. Not to mention there's a squeeze. I know you guys like the squeeze and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be talking about all this. Bob, for me, none are day trades. You know, maybe unless I'm taking like a UVXY or something like that, I don't do day trades in the trading room, but I will teach you how to day trade because everything I teach, whether it be on the daily, hourly, or 15, is applied on any time frame that we trade. So take these concepts and apply them down on the 2-minute and the 5-minute. It's the same reason why I traded the, well, let me show you, oh, where was this? Let's see UVXY, because we did take that one. And let me see if I can get the 2-minute here. Look at this. So here is a 5-minute trade on the UVXY. So there's your double bottom, there's your divergence, price crossed the 50, boom, okay? So everything I show you, all the same tools, the Moxie indicator, it works on all the time frames. How about this one? You want to see today, or actually I guess it was yesterday. Here's the 2-minute. Price going down, 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 Moxie indicator up, 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 and then what do we have? Flat, Moxie over 0, crosses the 50, boom. So if you guys are day traders and you want to do day trades, you know, do check it out because everything I teach and everything I do works for day trades. It works for futures. I mean, it's just, yeah, there's no hiding. I don't sugarcoat any of this stuff. It's great. Okay, well, I think we're going to call that quits because you guys have asked some pretty good questions and I need to go eat dinner with my family. And that was a good hour and a half. So thank you. I really love that. I was like, it's like a kid wanting to just show you my new toys and show you everything that's been going on with this market. So I'm very happy about that. Thank you everybody for attending. I do appreciate it. Here's all the information again. If you're interested, we put the dates out there. And just super excited to see, you know, you guys sign up, and I look forward to seeing you on the 8th. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be like, you know, old times. See everybody out there, see some new faces. I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm going to teach you how to make money in this market and how we're going to do it. I guess I should say, you know, profits and money are not guaranteed. Can I just put that legal disclaimer out there? Right? We all know what's going on. All right. So, but I'll teach you how to kind of catch the fish and how to do stuff out there. So we'll just be safe with that legality term and whatnot. But we have a lot of happy customers. I know people keep coming back. You know, people like what I do, and that's all I can say is, you know, if I wasn't good at it, I wouldn't be here. So I look forward to conveying this to you, teaching you guys, and helping you out there making the kind of future that you want. So, and with that, I bid you adieu, and I will see you in the next couple of days. Thanks, everyone. And thanks, Simpler, for all the help you guys did running this presentation.